Torn Asunder, a fitting title for this best-selling book for couples recovering from extramarital affairs. No marriage is immune. Statistics within society and unfortunately within the church bear this out. Dave Carter has been picking up the pieces of devastated marriages and has taken proactive measures to help couples safeguard their commitment till death do us part. Married to Ronnie for 42 years with 4 adult children, 4 grandchildren, Dave serves as pastor responsible for counseling ministries at the First Evangelical Free Church of Fullerton, California. He also carries on an active counseling practice. Dave also speaks around the world. The need is global. And we're just so grateful to have these 5 days with you, Dave.
I've enjoyed it so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it, so off we go.
Now, we have already probably put some people on edge, suggesting that no one is immune from a close call.
Well, the reason for that is we need to look at close calls as common. The tendency, especially for Christians, is to look at what I call a close call friendship as bad, or they make it bad. And so what happens is they deny to themselves that they're really developing this friendship. It kind of stays underground. And I'm in control, it's not bad, we haven't done anything wrong, but actually it's a close call friendship. And close call friendships develop just in the platonic world we all live in. We work with members of the opposite sex, we sing with them, we're on worship teams with them, we're in ministry with them, we work out together, we travel with them. And I'm not advocating going back to something in the 50s where none of that kind of stuff happened. But in that kind of a culture, you can build this friendship that's very platonic. But when you go through high stress times, that's when you fall back on this friendship and begin to need it more for what it can provide for you. And you begin to talk about personal things and maybe
Which
things...
maybe you're not taking time
Talking with your spouse.
With your spouse.
Well, maybe your spouse is so overwhelmed you don't want to burden them anymore. Maybe you feel like you're doing a service talking to someone else and it's because they've got all they can handle. And all that's to say that in this culture right now, these tough economic times, we're just going to see more and more couples get in trouble if they're not really prepared to protect themselves.
Okay, well, you have a list. We're going to go through some of these quickly, but I think it's important to identify what qualifies as a close call friendship. Where did you get this list?
I have a little black book in my office, in my desk drawer, and for years I kept notations of couples after they left the office, how this affair started. What can we trace it back to, in other words? So we always start with when an affair started. You want to know when an affair starts? It's not when you kiss or touch inappropriately. An affair starts when you share feelings for the other person with them, and they respond. So at that point in time, everything that you say to each other, every email, every sighting of each other, every time you hear the voice on the phone, it means more than it should. It's like an emotional explosion inside of you. So we start at that point and we go back 2 years. And that's where we find out what creates an affair.
So you're saying that this relationship has had significant connection for 2 years before she says to him, or vice versa, I really care for you.
Yep.
2 years.
Many times it does.
And then once they express that deep emotion, you're cooked.
You are. You're in trouble. The pot's boiling and you don't even realize it. Okay. So in that, to come back to our list, in that 2-year period, that's when I try to find some of these kinds of characteristics that are happening in this couple. Let me just
While there's still time to get out of the danger zone.
Exactly. Now, as you read through this list, there's only a few things on this list that you would call bad. And then I would call bad. They happen just automatically in the course of human events, you know.
For almost instance, like being a good neighbor.
Exactly. That's the point. Now, however, they begin to lead to a little more, and that's where we have a tendency to get into self-denial and say, it's not really happening to me. This couldn't happen. They're just good friends. We'll say that to our spouse. They're just friends. Okay, but here we go. You ready?
Okay, fasten your seatbelt.
First of all, when you begin to save topics of conversation to discuss with this friend versus talking with them about your spouse.
You're actually looking forward
Yes,
to unpacking it with the other person.
Yes, because they understand you better. And many times, like in our own lives, I'm not a musical person. My wife is a wonderful musician, has taught music. And me, I have to watch people clap, to get the rhythm. I can't do it on my own. Okay? So it would be like her talking about music with somebody who really understood music. Now, that kind of stuff just happens because spouses just don't always match perfectly.
And you more naturally come alive when you meet that person who understands your gift.
Exactly. And shares the same passion. But the problem comes when you begin, secondly, there to share spousal difficulties. And many times it's under the guise of, help me understand how a woman thinks. I just don't get it. My wife sometimes just confuses me to death, so help me understand. Tell me what that's like.
What does a woman want?
Exactly. Or the wife says to her, to this male friend that she works with or sings with or ministers with, I don't get guys, and I don't think guys get it. So she asked him for advice about how to live with her husband. Well, at this point, that's a very subtle criticism of your spouse. And maybe initially it's okay, but eventually it's going to get you into trouble if you keep doing that kind of thing.
There are actually people who have radar up.
They are.
For unhappily married
absolutely.
People of the opposite sex.
I've had people say that to me. That I can go into an audience and I can scan the audience and I can tell you who's unhappily married. Unhappily married people send out signals. And of course, people who want to have an affair or who are looking for some distraction or want to have some fun, they will pick on people that will not say no to them. They don't want rejection. Rejection's too painful. So they will pick people who will say yes to them or that they think they can get to say yes to them.
So we shouldn't be talking about the challenges we may be facing in our marriage with anyone of the opposite sex.
That's right.
Unless it's a counselor.
That's right. So, but it happens all the time in this culture. Remember we said yesterday, friends change forever, the topics of conversation for young adults to talk about. So it's common knowledge.
When Dave says friends, he means the TV show.
Yeah, a TV show friend.
No.
And so you anticipate seeing this friend more than the spouse. You begin to build up some anticipation. You might find yourself even dressing to please them. You might think as you put on cologne in the morning, oh, George likes this. You begin to condition yourself, and you can get yourself in really a bundle of trouble here. You provide special treats for the friend. Maybe you're stopping by Starbucks. You're going to buy yourself a cup of coffee. You think, oh, they like this. I'll buy that for them as well. Nothing wrong with it. I just want to say that. But it's building brick by brick into a close call friendship that when you go through difficult times, the friendship could come to mean more than your relationship with your spouse. That's the key of a close call friendship.
This is all tapping into, and I don't want to paint this as wrong, but I just grieve the number of times I've heard of couples who do everything together. The lines cross.